Alright, in today's video we're going to be completely reconditioning a Lego Mindstorms RCX. This is the 1.0 version with the AC adapter input or transformer input, since it can be AC. This one's honestly not that bad. I definitely have seen worse. Looks like the LCD has a little bit of an issue towards the top there, but it should be fine. It's a little dusty. I don't know if you can pick that up or not. Not too bad though. Inside there is some battery corrosion. Again, I have definitely seen worse. This is what it looks like when alkaline batteries leak, and you'll want to use an acid to neutralize it. So in this case I'll be using white vinegar. Pretty much all on the negative side, not much going on this side over here. And this is actually like very out of the ordinary for batteries to be aligned like this. They'll all go negative to positive all the way down, and you'll see how they did that on the inside because each one of these crosses over. So this is our starting point. There's no corrosion really in here, but I probably still will scrub this with vinegar just in case, because it's very, very common for you'll sometimes just see splotches of that battery acid leaking out. So at this point, we're just going to use a Phillips head screwdriver and take this thing apart. Okay, so let's get started here. Just 4 screws, comes apart very easily. Normally, when I take these apart, I would just flip it upside down and let the screws fall out. But in this case, I don't want any of that corrosion stuff to come out of there, so I'm gonna just remove them with a pair of pliers here. Alright, now what I'm gonna do is put it back inside, the cover back on, and should still be able to get this top part off. So I'm just kind of, now that we've got the 4 screws out, these 6 contacts here are actually what's holding it together, and you'll see what that looks like inside in just a second here. So you're just going to pull up all the way around. Let's see, it's kind of hanging on this side. Okay, come on. Okay, just like that. So it's got these little kind of rails on the sides here, and that's what goes into these guys here. So look inside. I guess they use pretty good. Oh yeah, these are Nikon capacitors, because I've never had to replace any of these. In this era of electronics, that was extremely common to have these guys. They'll puff up on the top and leak their own stuff out. This is where the battery contacts come into play, here and here. And to get this board off, it's a little bit tricky, but not too bad. But you're just going to want to pull to the side there, pull to the side here, and it should just come off just like that. There you go. You've got these 2 guides here, so we'll take those out. I guess these could have some of that battery acid on there, but they really don't. And that's what it looks like on the other side. So in the past, I have taken these out. If you look here, there's like kind of a little tab, and you can push them through. For this one, I don't think I'm going to do it. It's just, I don't really think it's needed here. We're just going to take this whole thing, soak it in vinegar, scrub it a little bit, wash it, and then to quickly dry it, I'm going to try the salad spinner today. It's kind of industry standard for drying Lego after washing it, but I would also use an air compressor, just spritz it off and try to get those out. For good measure, I'll go ahead and wash this. This piece comes off just like that. And since these I'm going to do separately, maybe I'll just kind of wipe with alcohol or something, but I'm not going to submerge these and clean them with soap and water. So it's just got 2 tabs on either side and they just pop right out. Okay, so we're all set up in the kitchen. I've got my gloves on. We have white distilled vinegar over here, 91% isopropyl alcohol over on this side. So let's pop our battery compartment out. It's a little bit of a pain. Let's just dump it in there. And I can't really see, but sometimes, especially if it's really bad, you could see it start bubbling and reacting as the acid neutralizes the base or whatever. Again, I'm not a chemist. I don't just kind of following guides from online myself. But I've done this for many years. I'm going to let that sit for just a little bit. Okay, so I'll let that sit for just a little bit, not even a minute. This is really difficult because my tripod's directly in front of me, so I'm kind of reaching around it. I'm just going to take my toothbrush and scrub on the contacts here. There was no real corrosion or anything on the other side, on the positive terminals, but I'll probably still give them just a little bit of a scrub, just to be sure. And just hold it through battery holders. One more time to measure. All right. And now I'm going to let it soak in the alcohol. And the reason I'm using alcohol is, one, it evaporates much better than water when you're doing, because the contacts are metal. But the smell of the vinegar is quite strong. So while I'm going to let that sit for a second. And again, I'm going to go ahead and treat this just in case. It's probably fine for this one at least, but if any of the acid had leaked out, I'll just go ahead and neutralize it. I don't see any bubbling. It's probably fine, but as many times as I've done this, I've definitely seen it leak out onto these. All right. This side cleaned up. And again, I'm going to give this a good scrub down because I don't want it to smell like vinegar. All right. Paper towel and just try to dry it as much as I can. All right, for this side, I'm just going to dump it next door. I have soap and water over there. So first, I'll probably take this downstairs real quick and just blow it off with the air compressor to make sure that it's good and dry. And then we'll go into washing the other parts. Okay, so we're back at it again. I should have taken a closer look at those contacts. They actually weren't super clean. I didn't get all the residue off. So what I did is they literally just slide right out. I forgot about that. The two clips that actually clip to the board are clipped in. These literally just slide out. And I'll kind of show you. It is better to pull these out because you can see it's pretty bad. I'm not going to get too crazy about trying to get every little bit of it. This will just keep things from getting worse. To neutralize them. May develop some rust, a little bit of rust later on. I'm not really sure because I've cleaned these all in totally different ways over the years with a little bit of different methods. So I'm not sure what exactly works completely best. It's actually, yeah, it's coming off. When you pull them out like this, you can kind of see what you're doing and really get get them clean. And some corrosion does build up on these middle parts too, so this is the way to do it, to just pull them out like this. Again, it's just been a while since I've done this. Alright, this next part shouldn't be too hard to follow along. I'm just gonna scrub all these pieces with soap and water. With this guy, I'm actually going to use, yeah, this ought to be fine, a sponge just to make sure I'm not scratching the plastic. Toothbrush, depending on the toothbrush, I guess. I just don't want to take any chances of scratching this because the IR communication happens through this piece. So I'm going to clean those. These, I guess they're probably fine. They were a little dirty around the edges, so I'll just kind of rinse them off a little bit. You might can see a little of the gunk that builds up on them. I think the other one was worse, but just a little bit. Clean that off. And now for this part. Ideally, maybe I should have let these soak a little bit, but it ought to be all right. I'm just going to very lightly, that's where it was the most dusty, was right here. And probably for the studs, I'll lightly go on with a toothbrush, maybe a little bit in the sides here. Like I said, this one wasn't that bad. I've definitely had much worse. And luckily, none of the, the paint should, or whatever it is, printing shouldn't come off. Should be just fine. Get your away. All right, we'll get those rinsed off. All right, let's see how this next part goes. I haven't used this yet, but it was just a salad spinner I got on Amazon. We're just going to toss our pieces in. Hopefully they don't get too banged up in there. We will certainly find out. All right, I guess this goes on like this. Okay. I guess that's right. And that definitely helped. Wow, yeah, that did pretty good. So I'm gonna kind of flip these around a little bit and repeat. Works pretty dang good. So yeah, there's a little bit in there, but like this is kind of a pain to dry off. It's mostly dry already. Our cover here, nice and clean. I like it. I gotta go downstairs anyway, so I'll spritz them off with the air compressor to get that last bit of moisture off, and we'll continue. But there's a few other repairs I wanted to show you, things that can help you out. So first, I did end up taking these out to get them good and clean. They're not perfect. You see a little bit of whatever on there. It's fine. It doesn't really have to be perfect. So you've got the negative side on this side, so that's what side the negative is going to go here. And these all just slide in and out easily. These are clipped in, and sometimes it can be a little bit of a pain. So I didn't really worry with them. It wasn't that bad. All right, you get these guys, which just kind of sit in here and help support the board, I suppose. Oh, yeah, wrong. Yeah, like that. That's how they go. I had to think about it. It's been a while. All right, now let's get our board on there. This negative side is going to go to this top part here. So we'll start with that side, I guess. This is the bigger contact. Get it right like that. Make sure All right, just like that. Perfect. Now I'm going to go one step further. We'll get to that. Okay, let's these guys. I'm just gonna take a just to get them a little bit of a clean. Oh, come on. Just got a alcohol swab in here. Just oh, there. All right, so we got those clean. One other thing I've seen people say is that sometimes the buttons give them trouble. And I actually had a Scout upstairs that was giving me a little bit of trouble. So I'm just going to dab a little bit of alcohol in each of these contacts and just make sure they're nice and clean. And I'll go ahead and do the underside of these just to make sure. Okay, so this is basically where I was yesterday before my phone overheated and I lost all that footage. So this is a different RCX that I'm going through here. One of the ones in a vlog I uploaded. So one extra step I like to take, because these can get a little bit loose, is to actually solder the terminals. And in order to do that best, I'm going to tin these two contacts here. Pads, and then we'll do the rest. All right, my solder's not cooperating. All right, so I'm gonna first, okay, let's see if I can get it to focus. Come on now. I'm gonna heat up the pad. I'm gonna stay there for a little bit. Then I'm gonna start adding solder. So you're not just dropping solder onto it, it's actually forming a bond. All right. And that added a little bit of height, so it makes it a little bit more finicky to get into place, but still not too bad. You got this little tab over here, so make sure that you get that lined up, just like that. Good in position. And let's finish this up. So I'm going to heat this up first and get it molten, and then push down here. I didn't realize I was putting pressure there, so it rose up a little bit. That should be fine. I mean, we're not, it's certainly better than just sitting on top of it. All right, let's do this one. Maybe not my finest solder joint, but it ought to do. Again, I'm not going to touch it until I've given it a few seconds to cool down, because it might be just enough, you know, molten to, you can pull it off. Yeah, everything looks good. So let's continue putting it back together. And what I did is to line these up together, because I had 3 of them apart at one time. I took a picture of the underside of the board, and it has a serial number, but it doesn't match this serial number. So I guess this serial number literally goes to a piece of plastic if you intend on taking these apart and doing anything with them like I'm doing. So, so the green and gray go like this. So run, green's for run, and red's for power, which goes on the bottom. Alright, so these are clean enough. Just remember the black terminals go to the outputs A, B, and C. So those go on the bottom here. And then these guys go for the sensors up top. Alright, now you can lay this face down so your buttons don't fall out. Oh yes, we are missing one piece, this guy here. And it's going to slide in under these two little tabs there. There we go. Alright, that feels right. And then I'm just going to carefully snap this in. And then two little tiny black tabs actually go through the green here, so make sure that this doesn't just flop off. It's back together. We're good to go. What? I missed cleaning one. Oh man, grody. I'll fix that in a second. I did want to show, this is what I was working on yesterday. The 1.0 with the power jack. And there you can see my solder joints there. What I was going to say is I haven't had it happen on an RCX, but it's very common in anything that uses a barrel jack or USB, anything. If you've had something plugged in here and it was under stress and pulling this jack up or down or in any direction, it can weaken the solder joints on the underside. I won't be able to really show you now that I've got this soldered all together. But you could try reflowing the solder on this jack if you have any issues with that, with it being intermittent. You've probably had plenty of electronic devices you had to like pull the cord to the side one or either way for it to work. Sometimes it's the plug itself or sometimes it's the jack. So it's just something else to keep in mind. So back to this one, just throw the screws in and you're done. It's that easy. Well, we'll do a quick test of it. And I think what I'll do, I'll put in 2 screws, and then I'll throw some batteries in just to make sure everything is gonna work. And just because it turns on doesn't mean it works. So you may need to, it's a good idea to throw a firmware on there, test the inputs and outputs, all that kind of thing. Sweet. Yep, good to go. Well, I need to clean that one contact. And you can also push these down a little bit after you put it all together because they might have been pushed up a little bit. So I hope you've enjoyed. I hope you find this useful. I've probably done this maybe 10 or 15 of these guys over the years. And I've also done, just dropped a battery out. Yeah, these, you can bend them out a little bit, just the tiniest bit. You don't want to overdo it, but if you have problems with it not holding the battery in there correctly. If I missed anything, if you have a problem that I haven't addressed in this video, like I said, buttons, the solder joints, if you need that, cleaning the battery acid, and then these terminals being loose. If you find any issues beyond that, be sure to leave a comment because I'd be interested to see what it is. Might be able to at least make an educated guess what the issue is. But pretty much in all the RCXs I've been through, these are the issues that I've come across. And I don't know if, I think there was one board through all this time that was just too far gone to fix. Kind of like this one, but because this, yeah, if this is just on there for years eating away at it, it is not a good thing. So I think I may have had one board that maybe I threw away at some point. But beyond that, I've been able to pretty much fix all these. When I do fix them, I don't sell them. Again, I've mentioned this a lot. Those were the ones I kept and held on to and used. And then ones that came in that were good and didn't have battery damage, those were the ones that I would consider selling to people. So I hope you found this useful. Thanks for going along for the ride.